Jamie, I'm so happy to see you today. I'm Dr. Lauren Mathewson. I'm here with Dr. Jamie Kunkle, and we are doing a sort of test run of our first podcast recording. I've known Dr. Kunkle since 2018 when we worked in a clinic together. It was fall of 2018, I think.
Yeah,
And we worked in that clinic for until when?
I left in May of 21.
May of
So
21, and stayed peripherally in contact since. And I miss so much the conversations we used to have in the clinic, especially when you and the rest of the team used to have journal club meetings and I would come crash your journal clubs. Yeah, you guys would have a Lyme journal club, and it was just so interesting what was going on that I'd worm my way in, and I miss that. And that was such a fun time. Well, what an amazing team we had, but also it was so rich and it was so cool to learn so much from one another. I feel like everything I know about complex chronic disease, I learned from Dr. Anderson and from being around you. And I know enough about complex chronic disease that I don't dabble in the infectious side of it. I leave that to folks like you. And I love to have you as a referral source. I send you folks all the time.
thank you.
Kind of going way back, if you were not going to go into medicine, what were you going to do?
Oh, that's a really good question. And before I answer that, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for helping to organize this. I've known Lauren for, how many years now, since 2018. And she says, she doesn't work with the infection side, but she works with the oncology and cancer side, which is also really complicated and important work. So next week, I'll probably interview her and talk about that. So just so you know, also very important. So it's been a great collaboration. So going back to my journey, where I started, where I all began, it's a good question because I'm not really sure if I knew I was going to be standing here talking about this right now. I wasn't even really entirely sure that the science world was for me, but I ultimately made a decision. I wanted to learn more about the brain. So my undergraduate was in neuroscience, and I think that started with, weirdly enough, my interest in plant medicines and strangely like psychotropics, even stuff like caffeine. I was like, why does caffeine make my brain feel weird? Stuff like that. And so I was just trying to understand entheogens, is what they call them, or like how plants affect our brains. And that kind of led me to just want to understand, well, how the brain works, because there was just really so much about the nervous system that I didn't understand and that we still don't even understand today. So that curiosity started me out. And I was pre-med in the University of Pittsburgh. My home state is Pennsylvania. And I had encountered a lot of other pre-med students, and they didn't really seem to show a lot of interest in plants and stuff like that. So I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to go into traditional medical school here. So like maybe I'll try research. So I went in to hang out in some of the research labs. I hung out in a neuroscience lab and a microbiology lab, and I kind of realized that life was a little bit lonely, too. There was a lot of pressure to publish, to get funding, to get grants, to do all this stuff all the time. And I really commend the people that have dedicated their life to research. I mean, it's a very hard game, and it can be lonely at times, I think, and very competitive. I mean, it's a hard world. So I kind of pivoted a little bit, and it was kind of my last year, even when I was graduating. I just realized that there was another type of medicine out there. There's just another way to do things, and that was naturopathic medicine. And I looked at it, I looked at the program, and I was like, wow, this actually looks like it's pretty intensive. It's a very science-based program. There was a 4-year medical school. They do all the basic sciences. They have the cadaver lab. They do all the normal stuff that you would do, except that they have these extra classes in natural medicine, philosophy of medicine, in terms of how to approach cases, how to heal people, treating the whole person. They classified the doctors or physicians more as healers versus, just practitioners or people that were, maybe dictating or controlling the whole narrative of the visit and the journey for people. So it was more time spent with people. So it just was really alluring to me. So I kind of made a last minute decision. I only applied for one school, weirdly enough, and that was Bastyr, because I really wanted to go to Washington. I've always been just enamored with the Northwest. And I'm even back in the Northwest now after being in California, because I just love the Northwest so much, which I'll get to sometime. But what I did, I went there, and then I started getting interested in acupuncture and Chinese medicine, and I went into all that. I learned all the Chinese herbs and it was just an amazing process. And so, yeah, that was kind of where I went with it. And I don't know, I can't imagine being anywhere else, really. I think research would have been my alternative possibly, but can't imagine a better profession right now.
Beautiful answer. I totally resonate with that.